It is a Webra engine. Pretty, not, I won't say rare, and I won't say uncommon, but I don't see many videos of these online, nor do I see a whole lot of information on them. But if you look at this box, there's nothing in this box, on this box, that tells you what kind of Webra it is. So I'm going to show you that right now. It's a Webra Speed 91. This is exactly how it came. Just like this. So here's the engine and here's the carb. Now, one of the things that I really liked about this engine was it was new, which is always a great thing, but it came with the Dynamix carburetor. So, and I've had one other engine featured on my channel that had this Dynamix carb, and it wasn't my own. It was a Webra Speed 61, and it belonged to a friend of mine, Rob. He sent it to me, had me clean it up, do some videos of it, and then send it back. So I really don't have a whole lot of experience with this carb at all. But this one's new, and it looks like all the parts are free, and I had some issues with the first one because I really didn't know anything about the carb. So that's kind of cool. So here's the engine. This is a ringed engine, as you can see. Very, very good condition. Well, it's brand new. I mean, it's never been run, so of course it's in good condition. It does have one little mark here on the prop hub, and this prop driver is actually slightly different than the one featured in the review that I'm going to put a link to. So this looks like it's kind of a later iteration of the engine, but it is a ringed engine, as you can see right here. That ring has never been, it's never been run, and I can tell by the smell test also. Now the funny thing is, this engine, I don't know if it ever came with a glow plug or not, but it came with a, this one to me came with a Fox idle bar plug on it. So I'm pretty excited about this engine. Made in Germany, etc., etc. So in my waiting period of looking for information while I was waiting for this engine, hi Coco. While I was waiting for this engine to arrive, I was trying to do a lot of research, or as much research as I could, to find out, the type of prop, break-in, fuel, that kind of stuff, because this engine did not come with any instructions. Being it is made in Germany, it'll probably run on low to no nitro fuel, which is fine, and I, have a good idea of the prop anyway. But I was just looking for information, and as you can see, it utilizes. These engines were not sold with mufflers. So you would put a strap-on muffler on here, and that was kind of one of those things I was looking at. I was like, well, you know what, I don't really have a strap-on muffler, and I hate strap-on mufflers anyway. So I was looking at some threads, and there was a thread on RC Groups some years back. A fellow said he had 3 of these things. What's up, Chloe? And he said that he had actually, just drilled and tapped this area to accept a Super Tiger 90 carb, or not carb, exhaust. So I was like, fine, that's cool, I can do that. I've got the tools to drill and tap, and I have drill press and taps and that kind of stuff. Whether I have the skills or not to execute this is another question, but I do have the tools to do this. So I was all excited. I was like, well, I've got a Super Tiger 90 engine, I've got an extra Super Tiger exhaust, so I'll use that. Well, it turns out, here's the adapter for a Super Tiger 90 engine. And here's the holes. If I put this on here, you'll see there's no way in hell that this 90 Super Tiger adapter will screw to this at all, because the hole spacing is just too wide. So I don't understand what this guy on RC Groups was doing and how he managed to do it. I think he was hallucinating, and he was probably actually using the adapter from a 40 size engine, because I'm pretty sure the 60 and the 90 adapters are probably the same size. Maybe it was a 60 or a 40 and they're the same size. I don't know. I don't have that much Super Tiger experience. All I know is this one is not possible because there's just not enough meat, not enough width here for these holes. So that ain't gonna work. So today I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. So I started digging through my exhausts, and I found one that will work. And it is the exhaust from an OS 61 SF. I believe it's an SF, or it's a FSR, I'm not sure. Either way, it's an OS muffler number 744. And this OS muffler happens to have these little flanges on here, and I was thinking, well, I'm probably going to end up having to grind those off and make them flat. Well, it turns out that is not the case at all. This thing mates up here perfectly. And the holes are such that I can actually drill and tap them. So even though this exhaust came with an engine, I think it was given to me by a friend, it was gray, it was painted gray, so it's kind of a strange looking exhaust. I'm not going to bother stripping the paint, but I am going to bother with drilling and tapping these holes so that this exhaust will work on this engine. So that's kind of cool. So the one thing that you might have noticed here is that I've already got kind of a punch mark on here. And because of the design of this, if this would have worked, then I could have just put a scribe mark or punch right on there straight in. But since that didn't work and the exhaust is in the way here, what I ended up having to do was hold this in place real firmly. I did it on the other side and use that 90-degree angle scribe and just kind of draw a circle and then eyeball it real carefully. And with my center punch, my spring-loaded center punch, I went ahead and punched a hole there so that I've got a nice drill platform. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to drill one hole here, thread it, and then install the exhaust. And while it's in place and thread it in, then I'm going to scribe the next hole. That way I'm not in too much danger of just trying to hold it and scribe two holes and they not line up properly. So anyway, look for some runs with this engine in the very near future utilizing this exhaust. And the other thing that I found that was really sort of cool is I can do some really neat stuff with this. Now, this Webra Dynamix carb, you know, a lot of people love this thing. And my experience with the one I did run a few years back was favorable, even though that carb wasn't in perfect condition. So I don't have any problem. I don't think I'm going to have any issues getting this carb to run fine. But I did also, when I was looking at this Super Tiger exhaust adapter for my Super Tiger S90 engine, or 91, I can't remember, I pulled the carb out and it's a perfect fit for this engine also. So I'll actually be able to run this engine with an OS exhaust, the Webra Dynamix carb, and a Super Tiger 90 carb on it, and see how it runs and operates differently between the two carbs. So this is going to be a pretty interesting engine and a pretty good series of videos, I think, upcoming here. So anyway, this has been a long and drawn out, long-winded, quick look at the latest engine that I've added to my collection. So thank you all for watching.